Welcome, Daniel.
Hello, Rowan.
First of all, congratulations on getting through Year 11 in one piece. I guess an initial question, how did you feel about the Year 11 journey? Like when you started Year 11, was it something that you were, worried about? Were you pretty relaxed about it?
I was actually pretty relaxed about it because I hadn't thought about it much coming into from year 10. I wasn't very active, or I wasn't very, I was procrastinating a lot, and I wasn't thinking about ahead of my future as much. But I came into year 11 really relaxed, and then COVID hit, and all of a sudden I found myself in the quarantine doing nothing, like playing games during class and stuff like that, really unproductive stuff. And I come out at the tail end of that, and it's exams, assessments and stuff, and I started getting really frantic. But I think Pathfinder, has really helped me through that a lot, because it taught me how to beat procrastination. Well, not so much, I'm still working on that. But
I think that's a life journey, if we're being really honest, right? But certainly, like trying to better manage it, it sounds like has been a key thing. So I guess if we're to unpack it, it sounds like then the big challenge you were really experiencing, and it sounds like COVID certainly exacerbated it, was one of procrastination. Like there'd been a little bit before, and then year 11 hits and things occur. Now, in terms of managing that procrastination a little more effectively, I know one of the things that you were doing is you've been working as part of the Pathfinder program with a mentor. In your case, it's Eugene.
Yeah.
How was the sessions with Eugene? What were the sorts of things you were doing in sessions with Eugene?
I really liked being in sessions with Eugene because he's a university student. He's been through all this HSC stuff already. So he taught me these tips that I think really brought me through the finals for year 11, because otherwise I wouldn't really have scraped through it as much. So during the workshops, we would start off by saying, how's it going? We'd catch up, and then usually we'd make a little study plan or something for the weeks ahead. And if we've already done that, then he'd ask me, do you have any questions for me? If not, then if I didn't have any question, he'd just take me on. Like, he'll tell me about uni, he'll tell me about what's happening, what I should be expecting for the HSC. And then sometimes I ask, like, how can I beat procrastination? This week I've been really lazy, I've been sitting on my ass the whole time. Like, how do I cut through all this crap? And then he'll tell me, like, probably the most important tip he told me that I think worked really well for me was the 2-minute tip. He said, if you want to do something, just start 2 minutes of it. And then if somehow your brain will think, oh, I've started, I might as well continue with it. So I think that probably, one of the most helpful things I've brought back from the mentoring sessions.
So it sounds like they were quite helpful in just practically helping you plan what you were doing for the weeks ahead. Were there any other things that sort of stuck with you that Eugene had shared in those mentoring sessions, outside of the 2-minute strategy, which is really awesome?
Well, before I didn't know much about the university process, what happens in universities. I didn't even know if they had terms or semesters or stuff like that, but he really clarified that stuff up. And because I'm interested in a med degree, and he was telling me, he was like, but there's an undergraduate degree and there's a postgraduate degree, and he told me the differences between these two. He just clarified a lot of this university stuff that I had no idea about before. Like, it's not something I would proactively go out of my way, take time out of my day to search up how does uni work. But it's really helpful because Eugene, in a way, I don't think without even meaning it, he helped me understand and get really hyped for uni in that way.
And so did that impact your motivation? Did it make you more motivated?
Put things into perspective, I suppose, because before I was just like, I'll just get through this exam, I'll get through this assessment. And now I started shifting, like, you've got a year and this is your goal, and then he's going to help you with the tips along the way. So
in other words, it sort of made you move from being very, not short term, but like just next assessment and not understanding the bigger picture, to understand, okay, well, this thing here, it's important because it fits into this bigger journey that I'm on with this broader goal that I'm trying to achieve at the end of year 12.
Yeah. These little micro goals to achieve your big goal. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really great to hear. You were saying that procrastination has been a challenge. What other sort of strategies and tips have you been applying to overcome or at least manage procrastination more effectively? Because I think procrastination has got to be one of the biggest challenges that most students struggle with.
Yeah, so definitely procrastination is it's obviously my biggest problem. Okay, so there was a 2-minute tip, but there was also a study plan. So a study plan did help, but only if you stuck to it. So this comes into the next part. Probably the biggest source or tool for procrastination, I guess you could say, for me would be YouTube or Netflix or anything on the internet on my device. So I think from one of the Pathfinder workshops, someone recommended a little Google Chrome extension called the Cold Turkey Blocker or something, and it's you block something for a certain amount of time and that's it. You can't open it, you can't do anything. So that really helped me to stick with my plan, because the plan's only good if you stick with it, right? So
and the way that works is you put a whole blocks, like, you look at your websites that you're most distracted by, you put them in like a blacklist or a block list, is that right?
Block list, and you set a time, and that during those like 15 minutes, say you can't do anything. You can't even unlock it if you want. I don't know how that works, but yeah.
So you have to. It's you either study or you sit there doing nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. it's forcing you to think. Oh well, I've got to do something. I can't watch YouTube. I've got to do work.
Great. Were there any other strategies that you've implemented as well to sort of better manage procrastination?
I think overall, all of these workshops and all these mentoring sessions, I said shifting perspective. So I think that shift in mindset as well it made me think. Before, procrastination came on like naturally, and now it's coming on like I can resist it. I can feel it coming on. It's almost physical, but if that makes sense.
It's almost more self-awareness by the sound of it. Like before it had happened, and you're all of a sudden on YouTube for an hour and not even realize.
And then you don't even realize normally. And then now you're thinking, oh crap, I've got work to do. And I'm coming into HSC, you can't do this anymore, right? So yeah.
Obviously we had end of year 11 exams that occurred. And I think for a number of students, end of year 11 exams can come as a little bit of a surprise, because you've got for the first time in quite some time that you're examined on the entirety of a year's worth of material in some of the subjects. You've got an exam block. It's like a 2-week usually exam block that's very similar to then what you'll get in the HSC. And I find that a lot of students can struggle and not do anywhere near as well as they would like, just because it's just different to their prior experience. So I guess what I wanted to find out was, how did Eugene and the workshops and the intensives as part of the Pathfinder program just help you prep for that run-in for your end of year 11 exams?
Well, the workshops, I know they had a big emphasis. I think there was one workshop in particular about study notes. It was talking about using the syllabus dot points and writing them up in a Google Docs or whatever, and doing little dot points and all your little notes and printing them out and using palm cards and stuff. And I started incorporating that. I remember after that, one of those workshops, I went up to Officeworks and bought like a 500 pack of palm cards, and I started using them for math extension, math advanced, English quotes and stuff like that. It started because it was always something I was like, oh, I'm never doing that. No, I can't be bothered. But it actually did help a lot, because it's something you can whip out on the bus. Whip out on the car while you're doing nothing and just go through it, right? And it's also just quick, easy information, like bite-sized information. I think that really helped into lead into the exams, when you can't possibly go through the whole syllabus, right, in like 2 days or 3 days and effectively do it, right? And when you've got it chunked up, then you can slowly go through it and it doesn't seem like a huge gargantuan task, right? So that really helped me to get ready for the exams.
Yeah, awesome. So you've got these sort of notes, so obviously getting a stronger foundation of notes, which sounds like it was really important, and that helped. And then a strategy to help you study it was to make it more bite-sized. What else did you do in the lead up to your end of year 11 exams?
Exercise and daily activity wasn't something I had a huge emphasis on, but now I think, especially during quarantine, when you were on your computer most of the day, I was like, I've got to get out. So I started doing walks and straight after online school, and now I've continued that throughout, from carrying that out of the quarantine. So yeah.
Why did that help? Like, why was that important to continue that, particularly as you were going into your exams for end of year 11?
I think it just allows you time away from it. You can separate. You can create a physical barrier between you and your laptop. So you can disconnect, I suppose, because once you're walking and you've got your headphones in, you don't really care about anything. You just walk, you come back, you eat or something, you get right back into it. I personally feel more energized when I come back. So yeah.
Cool. So it helped, in other words, keep your energy levels up so that you could be consistent and do the work, it sounds like, for your end of year 11 exams. Because did you have friends that sort of burn out and hit a wall in the year 11 journey?
I'm not quite sure about that. We kind of just do the work and get on with it. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, cool. I'm just curious, right?
Yeah,
no. Sort of
I think my friends are pretty capable at doing their work, and awesome. I think they're definitely ahead of me in terms of managing the procrastination. So, yeah.
Well, you're getting there though, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely better than when I was at the start of year 11.
So the way the Pathfinder program works, right, is there's mentoring, there's workshops, and then there's the intensives, right? The intensives are usually one day sort of deeper dives that happen usually in the school holidays to help you prep for the following term. What did you get out of the intensives? Were there any sort of things that really stuck with you?
I remember at the beginning of a lesson, I think that's when I learned the most, because there was always these parts about where was I at and where do I want to be and how do I improve there. And then people on Zoom would be telling me, the mentors or whoever, they'll be telling me these strategies and tips. And at the end of them, there's always this page and there'll be 3 big things, or the 3 things you'll take away. And these 3 things are, even though sometimes I didn't take it away as effectively, I always printed it out and stuck it up on a wall, and I tried my best to do it. And I think there was some things that, like for example the cold turkey blocker, that I did take away, and it did help me through my year 11 journey. So yeah, those intensive, there was a lot of good that came out of that. Yeah. Awesome,
that's great to hear. Now, if you had to step back and provide some advice now that you've been through year 11 and got through it, what advice would you give to other students that are just starting year 11 in how they could best navigate the year 11 journey?
Just starting year 11, okay. Well, I suppose they wouldn't be worrying about assessments yet, but starting early, noticing how your big time sinks. So for example, mine was YouTube. And but that in turn, you can identify your sources of procrastination, you can beat those sources of procrastination. But I think the biggest thing overall is this tip, obviously the 2-minute tip. I think that was just a lifesaver for me. So I think if anything, if there's a strategy or anything, just set your mind on a task. You don't even need to set your mind on it, just do it. Just do it, sit down, you've got like an English essay to write. Sit down, do 2 minutes, write the topic sentence, and then you've probably got the introduction by the end of that session. At least that's how it works for me. So it's great, the 2-minute tip.
Awesome. So we've got start early.
Yep, start early.
We've got identify your sources of procrastination. So you have self-awareness about what are the things that are causing the problems. And then 2, once you've identified those things, use the 2-minute strategy, right? Just to start building momentum, really, which is the whole point of that, isn't it? Yeah. Great. Now, I want to dive in and just chat a little bit about some specific subjects as well. So what are the subjects that you took during year 11?
Okay, year 11. So I took English Advanced, Math Extension, Chemistry, Physics, and Economics, and Music too.
Solid set.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep. So that's what, 12 units? 13 units, okay. And so how did you go, first of all, balancing 13 units during year 11?
Well, I know the workload for Music 2, it was more concentrated on classwork. There wasn't as much homework, and especially the practical component of it, it's an instrument it's an extracurricular activity. You practice by yourself. So that was kind of out of the set. So you could think of it as 11 units. But English and Math Advanced, I know that the workload was really focused more on leading up to the exams, because that's when you're revising and you're covering a lot more content. And for English, I suppose you're writing all these essays and your practice essays, you've got your quotes, you're trying to memorize. So yeah, so working that into my time schedule was probably a bit hard, because I also get home a bit later. So I think the main emphasis was after school, come back, do maths. If I've got time, do English, because I liked maths more than English. Sorry. And then whatever I could fit around, like physics and economics, I work on that after the exams for math or English. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. And what was the subject that you then sort of struggled the most with during year 11?
Probably economics, because I didn't do commerce during year 9 or 10. I was like, economics should be easy. But I go into it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. And I remember I was procrastinating through the quarantine period, especially. I was like, I'm not even listening to this class. And then I just remember I come out, I'm just like, oh crap. Like, oh, I've got so much work to do. I've got this whole syllabus. So I remember I took the syllabus, I did the dot points, and I started doing these dot point summaries, watching videos on YouTube, educational videos on YouTube, right? So yeah, and going through all of that. Probably economics was my biggest problem area. But after all of these, like my syllabus summaries, I think it was like I was pretty confident, yeah.
And just to dive in, what sort of strategies, as subject study, specific strategies, did Pathfinders teach you, whether or not it was through your mentor or from the workshops and intensives that you applied? And that might have been for economics, but it might have been more broadly for any other of your subjects as well.
So obviously the 2 minutes and the cold turkey. Studying for it though, the actual process of studying it, I have my own little method, I suppose. If there's anything I'm unsure about, so actually, sorry, I'll rewind a bit. After every day I come back from school after the quarantine, I'd have a quick look through my notes. I'd remember it. I'd try to consolidate the information. If there was anything I didn't know, I'd look on YouTube or other websites, and I just find like Khan Academy, for example, and I'd really make sure that's solid, because as you have to have a solid foundation, otherwise your building will collapse, right? Mm-hmm. So studying, to me, was a process of finding problem areas, eliminating that problem area, and then writing it in my syllabus dot point or whatever I was doing, or pump cards, for example. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And that's great, because I think one of the things that we see a lot of students not do is not lean into problems. Mm-hmm. As in, it's like, oh, I'll do my study and I'll do the easy stuff, and all the hard stuff I'll just forget about it.
And you just chuck it to the side, and it's very easy to do that actually, because the human brain wants to be confident. It doesn't want to think about all that stuff. So you chuck it to the side, but it's only going to pile up, and by the time you're in the HSC, one small mistake that is from year 10 syllabus or year 9 stuff, content, it could really break everything. Yeah, so yeah.
The Pathfinder program has sort of 3 core objectives, right? It's to help students lift their results, to help them find greater direction, and also to help them stand out. I guess the first question is, how has the Pathfinder program in Year 11 helped you lift your results?
Well, the studying routine leading up to it, the study plans, the palm cards, they all, I think, it would have definitely helped me. I think before the Pathfinder, my marks would have been a bit lower. So yeah, definitely a lot lower. So yeah, that's right.
Awesome. And then how did it help you find more direction in terms of, the sort of bigger picture career and uni?
So yeah, especially my mentoring workshops, talking about uni and the process into uni, and about the HSC, that set things into perspective. There was a shift in my mindset. I thought, oh my goodness, the stuff I'm doing now, it's for the HSC, right? And the HSC is something you've been doing leading up to for your 12 years of your life, right? So it's no small thing. So it gave me direction in the way I was like, this is my goal. I've got these little small goals, and I've got to make sure I complete those to get my big one. Right. Yeah.
So it helped really tie it all together for you, which was great. Yeah. And then finally, and I don't know if we've got to this part of the program just yet, but I'll ask the question regardless, just because you might have something awesome to share. How did the Pathfinder program help you stand out for opportunities, or has it helped you stand out for opportunities?
Well, I suppose in the way they taught me how to study better, it will make me stand out in the future. I suppose if I continue, obviously, with my results will be lifted. I'll have a better perspective, get direction. I think if you have direction and you have the marks to back you up, then hopefully you will stand out as a person that universities or employers would want to take on, right? So yeah, I suppose in that way, Pathfinder's really helped me stand out.
What was the best thing so far about the Pathfinder program in Year 11?
Probably my mentoring workshops with Eugene. Eugene's great. I think he's great. Yeah, because it's literally just a catch up. You've got another mate you can talk to now about stuff, but it's like an academic friend who knows stuff. So yeah, I think that's mentoring workshops is definitely the most fun and my favorite parts of the Pathfinder workshop. By far.
So great to hear. Yeah. And any other sort of final comments that you'd like to share, whether or not that's based on your experience in the Pathfinder program, whether or not that was just tips, strategies, anything else you just want to share?
Definitely, it's got to be the 2-minute trick. I'm sorry, I'm like an advocate for that. It's great. Eugene introduced that to me, it's like, no looking back. That's right. So if anything, the 2-minute trick.
So it's changed the game for you.
Exactly. It's changed the game, it has, it really has.